forecast for the week of December 9th of 2024. Well, it's all about where we are in terms of the cycle of the year. We're deep into Sagittarius season. We're coming up to the full moon in Gemini. You know what I was thinking today? I was thinking this. Like, we have all these astronomical indicators of where we are, right? It's like the signs, right? The signs that are up there, Sagittarius season and full moon 6 days and things like that ahead. And we have things that part of a regular annual cycle, part of a regular monthly cycle. We have some things that are kind of unusual that don't happen that often. Sooner or later, we're going to get some stuff. I don't want to give away the story, but sooner or later, other stuff comes up. We got Pluto in Aquarius. Nobody's seen that. Nobody's ever known that they were seeing it. Pluto's been in Aquarius before, but nobody at the time knew it. We have all of these things that are sort of giving us options and giving us a little lay of the landscape and stuff like that, and that's terrific. And as we're going down the road of time, all these signs keep coming past us, and I just lately I've been thinking, man, is anybody looking at the speedometer? Because I'm telling you, this thing seems to be going by pretty fast. Maybe it's because I'm on the other side of my second Saturn return. Could have something to do with that. I'm not quite sure. By the way, I was gonna talk about Saturn returns. I've been sort of waiting for that moment because I've said if you have a question, ask it and I'll answer it either in this forecast or in a separate video. But we should really wait until we have some Saturnian energy around, and that is not now. We don't have a lot of Saturn going on now. We have a lot of Neptune going on now. This is our theme, I would say, for the first half of December. We had Neptune station on Saturday the 7th, coming right on the heels of Mars station on the 6th. That's Friday. And then we actually begin the week with the first quarter moon in Pisces. And so it's going to hit stationed Neptune. This is a Sunday, Monday kind of thing. As we start the week, we got a lot of that nebulous kind of energy floating around. And then we're going to come right up to the full moon. We have Mercury retrograde and all of this type of thing. And then even coming into next, we just don't have enough Saturn in the sky to really talk about Saturn returns. I'm going to get to it real soon. Anybody has any questions about Neptune? We'll answer that next week. There's no problem with that. Okay, so yeah, so we start out this week with the first quarter moon in Pisces. It's the first quarter moon. It's the active part of the lunar cycle. Don't do anything. We're still feeling that Neptunian energy from Saturday the 7th as we sort of meander through the first part of this week. I'll have other caveats for later in the week, but we're still feeling that it's an active time of the lunar cycle, but not this particular lunar cycle. Mars is freshly retrograde. Now, until February 23rd, it's really going to be a little hard to get traction on new projects. It's not a bad time to work on projects that are already underway. If you're ready to dig in and do some work, especially, Mars is in Leo to begin the retrograde. Very, very good for digging in at creative projects and things like that. Particularly if you're going back to a creative project, that would be superior. And then Mars will be into Cancer, and you can, I don't know, cooking would probably be whatever. We'll get to that. That's too far down the pike. It's a couple of weeks away before Mars gets back into Cancer. So until February 23rd, though, not great for new projects. And of course, Neptune station, very poor for making practical decisions. And although Neptune's going to be retrograde for months, and the retrograde itself doesn't mean that much, right around the station, it's not an ideal time to be starting things or making practical decisions and being pragmatic about stuff. So let's leave that aside for a little while and say that it's a really good time to just play. it's a good time to play. It is a good time to meander. It is a good time to let serendipity rule. Rather than have a plan, it would be a really good time to just kind of go with the flow and see what happens. Might be a little bit tough to get folks together when you're trying to do something. Let's talk about that for a minute. This weekend, Venus, right? Venus has gone into, I'm looking over here, Venus has gone into Aquarius, and so that's a nice kind of energy, right? That's a nice kind of energy. Good for socializing with groups, connecting with others, particularly if you have some sort of purpose in mind. It's great if you just want to hang out with friends and stuff, which is great at this time of the year. Carries us all the way through, I think, January 2nd. Certainly carries us all the way through New Year's. It's a nice vibe for connecting with friends, groups, socializing. It's not really all that much about personal stuff, but that's fine. We have plenty of opportunities for that. Anyways, so we have Venus and Aquarius. But what's the first thing that happened to Venus when she came into Aquarius? Is boom, she just walks in the door and there's Pluto standing there. And so Venus met with Pluto over the weekend, and that's got to kind of color the next few weeks. It's like, you get into the house and there's Pluto, right in your face. And, I think, as I've said, this might play out about who's in control in the group. We're all equal in the group, but who's got the power? Who's got the control? Or who is the outsider in the group? Who's being sort of pushed a little bit to the outside? That's another Plutonian kind of thing. A little bit of the vibe that is there. Now, Venus already by December 9th, we start the forecast Monday, we'll call it. Already Venus is past Pluto, and so she can sort of, loosen up and do her thing. But I wonder if there isn't that kind of memory of like, oh wow, the first thing that happened to me when I got in over here was. Look back to the weekend, look back to the weekend of the 7th and 8th and see, well, how did things go? What were some of the, were there any issues that came up with groups of friends or gatherings and things like that? And then, we'll see if that kind of continues. We don't really know, right? I mean, we haven't had Pluto in Aquarius really very much, and we don't know. But everybody, for the next couple of years, all the planets, when they get into Aquarius, the first thing that they're doing is meeting with Pluto. He's only going to get out to a few degrees of Aquarius over the next couple of years. Pretty much, we're going to see what happens when the sun enters Aquarius, when Mercury enters Aquarius. We'll also see when planets enter Leo and oppose Pluto in Aquarius, and when they square from Scorpio or Taurus, we'll see what happens when they get into those signs. And for that matter, when they hit Gemini and Libra and make nice aspects. And I don't want to belabor the point, but we have to see. We have to see. I would pay a lot of attention to the moon, because the moon, which is probably the most reliable indicator for such things, when the moon gets into Aquarius, that's the first thing. You could look back this week, you could look back to see what your vibe was on Thursday, Friday. Friday, I would say it was Thursday night, so really Friday. Depends where you are in the world, but pretty much what was the feeling there when the moon went into Aquarius and sort of uh, was welcomed by Pluto? And did that drag on over the course of the weekend, well, the next few days, or did it kind of dissipate, or was it anything at all? These are things to look at and think about. Of course, we all see them from our own perspective. We all see it from through the lens of our chart. So we're all looking at the same thing, but we're all looking at it from a different angle. So we have different experiences, and you know, could sort of we could unravel the whole idea of doing forecasts entirely if we really pursue that far enough. So I'll leave it be there. But everybody's kind of got their own take on it. And see what yours was, and then we'll have to see if it repeats next month. I'm sure I'll mention it next month when the moon goes into Aquarius, and I'm sure I'll mention it when anything else goes into or aspects Aquarius. So now Venus is going through the sign, having met with Pluto for better or worse. And then on Thursday, so we're looking like, aspects build, they peak, and then they trail off. And in this case, I would say it's looking to be like Wednesday, Thursday, because it happens in the earliest hours of Thursday morning. Venus is going to oppose retrograde Mars. Now, Venus is in Aquarius. It's all about socializing and gathering in groups and things like that. It's about friendships. It's not exactly the most romantic placement for Venus. Not that if you have Venus in Aquarius, you're not romantic. That's not what I'm saying. It's the collective vibe. And then opposing Mars in Leo, Mars in Leo, this is very much, this is a very passionate, personal oriented. It's in the sign of Leo. Where's the attention? Where's the passion type of thing? So that's an opposition that seems to be like, is it about us or is it about us? Or is it about me or is it about us? That kind of thing. But of course, Mars is retrograde. Mars is going backwards. So, we'll have to see. I think that this is a kind of you kind of want to do your own thing. You kind of want to do what looks like it's the really best thing to do. It seems like it's going to be exciting and fun, but is it going to pass with others? Are you going to be able to get others on board? Maybe, and then again, maybe not. So at midweek there, I wouldn't discount it though. It is a building energy. It is a waxing moon. It's an opposition, which certainly can play out between people or between an individual and a group. Again, the individual versus the group. Is it versus? With the individual harmonizing with it's not harmonizing. Is the individual and the group? Who's on the outs? That seems to be kind of a theme for Venus and Aquarius this week, anyway. So, on the other, if you can make it work for you, it should be pretty cool. It should be something that might be, it makes for an active midweek. I know this time of year people do a lot of things, a lot of parties and stuff like that midweek, and it shouldn't be dull. That's good. Wednesday, Thursday afternoon, evening in December could be dull. It shouldn't be this time around. And then we get to the Gemini full moon. Okay, it's exact on Sunday. It's exact on Sunday in the earliest hours. So we're really feeling it, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So the moon leaves Taurus. We have an almost full moon towards the end of the week. Again, the moon goes through Aries. Right? The moon goes through Aries. That's definitely a lot of energy. Then it goes into Taurus, where the moon is very happy. Waxing moon in Taurus is good. And then it hits Gemini, where the moon is fine in Gemini. That would be both Friday and Saturday evenings. The moon will be in Gemini. Again, if you're doing stuff out there, if you're out connecting in the world, regardless of any Venus, Mars, Venus, Pluto hiccups or whatever, it should be a pretty good time. There's this kind of outgoing energy. The moon gets into Gemini, happy enough, and then full, almost full, waxing Aries, almost full Taurus, and then full Gemini. A great, again, it's the sign of Gemini. It's a very social kind of sign. It's great for, again, groups. It's great for local community stuff and things like that. It's a full moon, and we expect all of those full moon types of things. Now, here's, for the weekend, here's your little koan, let's call it. And that's that Mercury also stations to go direct on Sunday, much later on Sunday. But, we got to give a few days on either side of the station, and we got to give a few days on either side of the full moon. So we got the full moon lunacy combined with the confusion of Mercury retrograde stationing to go direct. Yeah, that could be a thing. And of course, we're in the midst of this Mars retrograde. You want to do it, but don't. And we're coming slightly off of the Neptune station. We're getting past that enough, although the sun is gonna, this is for next week, but the sun is gonna square Neptune. So anyway, we get to the weekend, and what we've got is this kind of like, confusion, uncertainty, maybe mixed messages, crossed wires, texts that didn't get sent, texts that are read the wrong way, and all of this type of thing that would go with Mercury retrograde. Never mind, actual transportation and technology snafus. We have all of that going on at a kind of peak. And then we have the full moon where folks are going to be a little bit beyond themselves. You know, it is the full moon in Gemini, and things can go two ways. It is Mercury's home sign. It's Mercury's home sign. And so very much about communication, very much about connections, and maybe sometimes the wires get a little bit frazzled and so on. The whole secret to the beginning of December is don't take it too seriously. It's the amusement park. I say this, maybe I said it last week. I say this sort of thing all the time. It's the amusement park. It's the amusement park. You might find yourself in the fun house. You might find yourself in the haunted house. You might find yourself in the tunnel of love. You could be on the roller coaster. It's just not entirely realistic. It's not a time for those serious decisions. Don't let Mars and Venus suck you into a serious decision about something, particularly with relationship. Don't. This is not the time. It's not bad. It's good. It's fun. It's fun. The beginning of December is relatively fun. Despite our hiccups and problems at all different levels, collectively and personally, it's okay. I'm having a good time. But don't take it really seriously. Have I said that before? Well, Mercury is retrograde, so I said it again.